Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of MMA Power Talk. Sports Karate Illustrated at the Dojo. Now, today we're going way back to the 1980s, mid and late 1980s. The gentleman I met when he was a teenager, it didn't matter. He was still beating some of the top competitors all over the nation and eventually the world. He's a very good friend of mine. His son, I should say, his brother and him were touring all over the world along with Grandmaster Jun Lee. It was pretty incredible. And anyway, it'd be a little better to hear it from the horse's mouth. I'm looking for Master Michael Dietrich. Are you there, sir?
Oh, Grandmaster Jerry Fast Feet Fontanez. How's it going, old friend? Man, way back.
Yeah. So listen.
Yeah, you and I go way back. We're getting ready for Capital Classics and staying at my house and all going to, like, the military pool and hanging out and having, Timac from The Last Dragon and his sister and everything else all out there.
Well, let me just give you the structure of the way we do things here just to keep it a little easy. What was either your motivation, desperation, and inspiration to even start in the martial arts? Let's go back to the beginning. Now, if you don't hear me, it's because I put myself on mute, because this is not about me, it's about you. You got that, sir?
Oh, man, yeah, not a problem. I'll take you through the whole story. So here's the exciting part. You know, I'm the first one in my family born here in the U.S., right? Because my dad's German, my mom's Spanish, and you go ahead and figure out that math. They fell in love, they didn't even speak English, and they had to learn it together, and they worked that out, right? So so here I am, a first-generation kid. My dad gets this job here in D.C. at the Pentagon, and we actually move into a new neighborhood. Now, this is when I was like 7 years old. So at 7 years old, we move into a new neighborhood, and I walk across the street to look for friends and end up bumping into a neighborhood gang. And I get beaten severely. You know, the gangs, their welcome to the neighborhood was throw me on the ground, hit me overhead with bats. So I was hospitalized. You know, I had scars on the back of my head. And then, so at 7 years old, you get out of that experience. And, you know, already being the oldest in the family, I'm an introvert. Then after that, you don't go outside. You don't talk to people. Somebody tries to talk to you. You don't look them in the eye. You're really shy. You know, and so that happens until I'm about 10 years old.
Let me interject. So now you're walking down the streets of Harlem, USA, or Spanish Harlem, or the Bronx, right? No, this was over in where?
This is Alexandria, Virginia, which is a suburb outside of D.C., and you would think the neighborhoods were great and safe and everything else, but it lets you know these things can happen anywhere. You know, they can just happen anywhere. And so these kids were like, here, let's initiate the new kid into the neighborhood by pretty much almost killing me, you know?
Yeah, attempted murder. And so now maybe we didn't know, but they might have been initiated into some type of gang or what have you. And that's the funny thing, guys, because you remember I was born in Manhattan, raised in the Bronx, but just like Master Dietrich said, it doesn't freaking matter. You could be walking down the mall right now or the parking lot, and something can happen. So at age 7, they almost kill you, and then you shut down. All right, continue.
Exactly. I was just shut down as a human being. You know, I wouldn't talk. I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't play. I wouldn't go outside. So 10 years old. 10 years old, that day changed my life. I saw a Bruce Lee movie. Now, dude, Bruce Lee is like 5'4" or something. You know, here is this little tiny Asian defending himself against all these attackers. And what was hook, line, and sinker right after that was a Jun Lee commercial, Nobody Bothers Me, called USA 1000. 2 days later, I was taking my very first martial arts class, right? 10 years old, taking my very first martial arts class with my little brother, Richard. If you know martial arts, man, you know Richard Dietrich. He was 3.
What year are we talking here?
Oh, man. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to those years. We're talking about
1980.
I'm trying to use my fingers. 1980. It was 1980, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. Star Wars came out in 1977, so that was 1980. And I was taking that class, my very first class, and oh my gosh, you got to listen to this. Listen to my martial arts heritage, and this is just that commercial and luck. Okay, I'm there with my 3-year-old brother, who at first they said he can't do karate, he's too little, right? And my first teacher, the very first class I ever had, because the manager was at school, was Stephen Oliver from Mile High Karate. That was my first teacher. The second class I had with was world champion Charlie Lee. And those two were my main instructors for about 90 days. For 90 days, my introduction to martial arts, these two greats.
In November, the first week, we just had to reschedule it because Mr. Lee today happens to be on maternity. So we have him scheduled. We just had to reschedule him, but he's coming soon, too, to one of these Power Talks near you. Along with Mr. Oliver, too, just so you know.
So just to skyrocket further ahead, when I was competing on the world circuit, the one person I had the hardest time and could not beat and never beat to this day was Charlie Lee. My early on instructor was my chief competition on the world competition circuit. That's how well those guys trained.
I don't know if you remember, but in 1988 at the Boston Nationals, I actually tied in Korean form with Charlie Lee a total of 3 times, and then I finally went to pointing. It's not he did that.
Wow.
Wow. Imagine that. And I also took second place to him at the Bermuda Invitational Grand in 19. I know most of you guys don't realize I did forms also, but
you guys are all a little older than I was. You guys got to go to Bermuda. I was too young. Oh,
well,
man.
I went in 1988, and I was the last time that they had it. So
yeah. I think I was like, 1988 was the last time they had Bermuda. Yeah, and that's awesome.
That was the time you came. We don't want to fast forward, but that was the time when you also came to the Bronx. But
right. Okay, we'll go back a little bit. Go back. So my second introductory lesson was Charlie Lee, right? And part of some of the classes that we had early on too was like Taebo, because Charlie had his own Taebo routine that we do for warm-ups in class. Like another one bites the dust, and you have to do side kicks. So that was awesome. He kept us motivated, and happy to be coming to class all the time. After that, okay, at my gold belt testing, Jun Rhee was there. I think it was Jun Rhee and Jeff Smith. And that day at that gold belt testing, they had outstanding students among...
You mean the man who taught Bruce Lee Taekwondo?
Oh, my gosh, Jun Rhee. So if people don't know who Jun Rhee is the person that taught Bruce Lee how to do the side kick that everybody saw in Return of the Dragon, where he beats Chuck Norris. That's Jun Rhee. Jun Rhee, who invented the sparring gear. Jun Rhee, who invented kickboxing here in the United States of America. Jun Rhee, who invented all the gear, started the tournament circuit, taught Anthony Robbins, and taught Muhammad Ali how to do an acupunch that Muhammad Ali credits. The one most pinnacle, influential martial arts person in the United States was this tiny little Korean guy named Jun Rhee. And he was at testing that day with my brother and I, testing that day. And after that test, he said to my mom, I don't want your kids here at this school anymore. I want you to come train with me and up at the Falls Church School. Now, what that means here in the D.C. area is the Falls Church School. It was a 10,000 square foot martial arts school that had a full kickboxing ring in it, where Jun Rhee would have the Democrat congressmen and the Republicans spar against each other for fundraisers. It was just the most amazing place in the world. And all the Jun Rhee teachers from around the world would come train there. I remember training there with Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's son. Now, can you imagine that pinnacle moment? Here I am, 12 years old or so, maybe 11 or 12, and I'm working out with Bruce Lee's son. Oh, my gosh. And Bruce Lee was the image that started me. I mean, to this day, what martial artist goes, wow, I want to be Bruce Lee? Right?
Well, the majority of the people here at the Power Talk have given Mr. Lee the credit and or the other event that you had through, which was being bullied or having a situation that, but not most of. I gotta say this: even the people that we've interviewed from some of the roughest areas of New York did not say that anyone got killed at age 7. But that's something that's incredible. But again, we passed that. So now you with Brandon Lee, you're training, and you with all.
So here I am as a gold belt at the Falls Church School, and Charlie Lee had moved up to the Falls Church. He was moved from Alexandria to Falls Church to start teaching. So I went up there too to be able to train with Charlie Lee. And then this other gentleman comes to introduce himself. He goes, "Oh, hi, I'm looking for Mr. Lee." He goes, "Oh, I'm Mr. Lee." I go, "Well, I was looking for a different Mr. Lee." He goes, No, I'm his teacher. And Master Dungju Lee, Jun Rhee had set Richard and I up to train with Master Dong Ju Lee, and he is the one guy who taught John Chung, Charlie Lee, myself, Tom Che, a lot of pinnacle martial artists, and working out there were Michael Coles, Jeff Smith, Andre Yamakama, Yoon Lee. I mean, just holy deacons, some of the best martial artists of all time were there. Then I got to do judo because
Dan
the head
Magnus.
manager,
Wait, Dan Magnus,
holy
Rich
deacons.
Batista. Okay, we'll stop there.
Otis Hooper. I mean, we had some of the most incredible people there. Chuck Biddle. You know, wow. So now here we are at the pinnacle birthplace of the United States martial arts and the greats. Jeff Smith traveled from Texas to come up there. I mean, you had people from around the nation all here at this one place, and this is where I was being trained to be a black belt. Oh, my goodness, right? And so at 11 years old, right? So now we're going a little bit further. So I'm a red belt. My brother and I are red belt, 11 years old. Junri comes to my mom and says, hey, I want to take your children and tour around the world. The first place we're going is Korea. So, you know, that's a big deal for a mom to trust another individual to say, yeah, go ahead and take my children. So, you know, that relationship that gets built up is a very big deal. So she entrusts Junri to take us, and we go to Korea.
Especially a Colombian mama.
Especially a Colombian mama. And if you're part Hispanic, oh, my goodness, you know Colombians, right? Holy deacons. For a Colombian mom to let her little kid go, yeah. Colombian mama to take out the entire cartel all by herself, right? So that's a big deal. So now here, Richard and I are in Korea. We're on commercials. We're on TV shows. We're doing things because Junri was a diehard American. And he's still a diehard American to this day. He's so thankful for Americans for setting Korea free from communism. And he's, you know, there's one thing about being around Junri that you realize that in martial arts there should be no racism, no separation by religion, the only separation may be by belt rank. But it doesn't matter who, where. This guy is a diehard American. Here you are, Michael Dietrich, go out and make the world a better place. Go out. I train you to go out and make a difference. And here we are in Korea, right by the demilitarized zone, doing performance for the military, so Junri can say that he's given back to these people who set Korea free, you know. And then, you know, we did TV shows, we did stuff with stunt doubles, and then we toured around. So this is my exposure. I'd see Chuck Norris every so often. Chuck Norris would probably be at, like, every 4 weeks or so I'd see Chuck Norris at an event we're performing at. We'd go to do demonstrations for Congress. So we started, we were there with Walt Anderson, the head of the Washington Post Parade magazine, and a lot of different influential congressmen and people to start Teacher Appreciation Day. You know, so we did demonstrations at the White House. It was, with Junri, it was an exciting ride, and what an amazing thing.
Wait, 1 second. That sounds like a lot. And this is the thing, that sometimes we live life that to other people just sound like a lie. I mean, you're saying this right now.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it makes sense to me, does it?
Oh my gosh, Junri taught Congress. He taught a lot of the congressmen, Republicans, and he taught them. He had that class on Capitol Hill. So since he had a class on Capitol Hill, any opportunity he had for us to come up there and do a demonstration. So he you know, Junri at that time period started the World Martial Arts Congress for Education. He was uniting martial artists around the nation to show the world that martial arts is the best thing you can do for a person to increase education for a student. If you gave them confidence, focus, discipline, that martial arts wasn't about kicking and punching. It was about something greater. You know, I was at his house 6 months ago. He gave me a book called Trutopia, and he said, Michael, this book is a compilation of my life. Read it, because this is everything that martial arts has meant to me and what I'm giving back. So if you guys get a chance, definitely read Junri's book, Trutopia. I'm not going to give away any of his secrets, but wow.
Well, let me just interject. So we're talking about what would be today known as success conditioning. And success conditioning via motivation and what have you, goal setting, et cetera. This is what Mastery was really doing. So most people would think about John Chung and Charlie Lee, and even to a certain extent even Michael Dietrich, as forms competitors. But obviously they all fought also. But then you had the guys who were just straight up point fighters, and then the ones that became kickboxers, and then the ones that had the Black Belt Club and the Masters Club and all those different types of programs. And all of this was from the same group of people. For those of you who have become members of any martial arts building company, EFC, Education Funding Company being the first one, they were the in-house building company for Master Lee as an example. So, we spoke to Master John Longstreet, who was the first student ever at the Junior Institute Mid-America when the Histolo and Warley's went up and Larry Conahan went from D.C. over to
Right.
Minnesota.
Most prestigious tournament in the country is a former junior student.
But and this is the point. If you eliminate Master Lee or Grandmaster Lee from what would be the mix of martial arts, then we're in the dark ages in many ways.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, he reinvented everything. I mean, you got to think about all our traditional forms. So when we went to Korea at 11 to do demonstrations, Richard and I looked at people going, "Wow, what are they doing?" Right? We felt bad for them because they were doing forms, but it was so far behind what we were doing, even down to the technique, how you pick up a side kick, you execute a side kick, the toes are this way, the heels this way, your hands should precisely be this way, everything locked into place all the way down to the pivot, bring it back, put it exactly down where it's supposed to belong. There was precision from when you picked your foot up to the way you placed it all the way back down, and there were no excuses for not getting it done. And that was a precision that Dong Ju Lee and Jun Ri required out of every single student they trained, because they're making a difference. And Jun Ri revised martial musical forms. Who invented that? Jun Ri. I mean, who was Beethoven, Exodus, Granada. God bless America. Tong He Muwa. I did that routine in Korea to the Korean national anthem. So this human being, I've got to say, to this day still inspires me. I mean, come on, I'm 45 now. Jun Ri still does 100 push-ups in a minute, 400 a day. He must be like 84 years old. And then he tells you.
I would have to say maybe he's 84 years young.
84 years young. Well, I try to tell him. He goes, Michael, how many push-ups can you do? And I was like, not 100, sir, in a minute. He goes, but I have some time, sir. I have some time to catch up.
All right, so you come back. Now, again, just to be fair, when you go to an experience like traveling to the other side of the world, it's kind of difficult when you come back home and now you're going to get into some regular competition or demos. Or let's talk about that transition from. So
what happens is we're competing at the Battle of Baltimore, Capital Classic is still around. We're still doing competition. We're doing demonstrations. I'm cleaning houses with my mom on the weekend. We went to private schools, so my mom would clean houses on the weekend. And I'd go help her to try to afford like the tuition, because we'd be in school so sporadically. We'd take our homework with it. You're doing homework on a plane. And then we had agents. So what happened was, I'll go back a step. We come back from Korea, red belts, 11 years old. 12-year-olds, I earned my black belt. Richard is 5 years old. He earns his black belt. Now, when most people, we used to have a thing where people say 5-year-old black belt, ridiculous. Richard, by the time he was 4, knew all the curriculum from white belt all the way up to second-degree black belt by the time he was 4, because that's how old he was when he demonstrated in Korea. He is the Mozart of martial arts, that little guy. He could do a perfect straight-up side kick perfectly, not like that sloppy stuff. He'd kick it perfectly and precisely with either leg, And we do this two-person.
I bear witness to him. Now, he was older, but obviously I bear witness to that, and we had a ball together. But, yeah, I mean, perfect, picture perfect, no joke.
Yeah, and there was no kids division back then, so you'd compete. I remember we were at the Lama Nationals, and Richard had to compete against Terry Creamer, Jean Frenet, Andre Sock, back in a day, and the only division he could compete in as a black belt was the adult division. I think he placed he placed like 6. He placed in the top 10, in an adult division black belt I think he was maybe 7 at the time we were there. But, okay, one more step back. At 5 years old, Richard becomes a black belt, right? Kick heard round the world. 5-year-old black belt, the next thing you know, Us magazine calls us. We're in Newsweek. a Washington Post. We get agents. So now we're traveling around for auditions. We're doing small parts in commercials. Richard locked down this Tonka Toys commercial while I was doing stuff for the Department of Agriculture. And so now we're doing commercials, and we're around other kids. We're around other kids who are all doing commercials and things of that nature. So now I know this sounds strange to maybe the average person, right? But when you're doing this, you're in a class and a group of people who are just doing the same things. You're surrounded by people who are all working towards making a difference and moving forward. So to you as a kid, this is just normal. This is just how it is, and I better get that psychic up because Master E wants me to be able to do psychic perfectly with both legs, And so there's 12 years old, right? We're doing the auditions. I'm really blessed to be surrounded by those instructors. The person who's the president of that Junri school in Falls Church was a guy named Baruz Sashar. From what I understand, he was like one of the bodyguards for the Shah of Iran and came here as a refugee and was a judo master. So we got to train in judo, So here I am. Here's a real first introduction to mixed martial arts, right? We're doing a Chongdukwan style of taekwondo, right? All the modern stuff with the musical forms. I'm working out with a judo master taking me through throws, and I was a tiny kid, so that wasn't easy, right? And then the next thing you know, I'm doing Shotokan, and I'm training with a bare knuckle fighter because, again, Colombian mother, right? My son is never going to be weak that he gets beat up like this again, so he's going to go train with this other coach, with Sensei Mazhari, who was a friend of Baruz Sashar, the judo master, and says, well, this is the toughest place I can send you. And it was a Shotokan bare-knuckle fighting school. So we went there, and while I was doing that, in the Junri school in the basement was Jim Ed Jones boxing. So here I am, with pinnacle people like Jeff Smith in my ear, who's one of the top world kickboxing champions, Michael Coles. Michael Coles, oh my goodness, I got to tell you this. He came by my martial arts school a few months ago, right? And it just brought back so many memories because he's so hardcore. I had my little 6-year-old brother come up with him, and he's like, get up here, come on, stand up straight. He's kicking him and trying to get poor little Christian back up on his feet, but they teach you determination. So here I am surrounded by these kickboxing world greats, doing judo, doing boxing, doing bare-knuckle fighting. It's just what an amazing part of my life. And now I look back, and I'm just so thankful and grateful, because these people molded me. Here is a shy 7-year-old, first-generation American kid, almost dead. And somebody else, some group of people inspire me, coach me, teach me a belief structure that has nothing to do with religion, color, race. They give you a belief structure that I'm going to empower you so that when you get to your prime, you stand up and you make the world a better place.
Well, that means that you became a member of people have relatives, and then that's the family. You're born into relatives and family you choose, or they choose you. So the village took care of the child, and that's where we grew up. We stand on the shoulders of the giants. This is the consistency of the majority of our conversations. Yes, when we say bare knuckle and what have you, we're not talking techniques. We're talking about the mindset of to be able to become a black belt in life, and how these elders in the village helped us. Phenomenal.
Exactly. And then so now my whole thing is, auditions and competition, right? So at 16, I'm traveling the circuit. I'm doing my best because they let 16-year-olds into adult division then, but then there was a whole China started changing it and pushing you out of it, right? So that was a whole interesting time period. But being 16, and I remember going from being one of the top-rated juniors to stepping into the adult division and getting blasted out of the ring going, oh, my gosh, there's a new level. Then I remember starting to tour the circuit, and I learned camaraderie. Jerry, even from you, I learned camaraderie. You introduced me to everybody. We met at a tournament. It was awesome. I was sparring at a tournament, and I remember I was trying to get my points to compete. And the number one seed in the division was a guy named Tony Young, right? And I hadn't seen him. because I was fighting like Jerry Prince or whatever. And I was still the rookie, so I was trying to fight up. This is closer to 18. I'm trying to fight up into the division, and I have to fight down to the Final Four, and Jerry Prince is out there cheering me on. And I'm looking at him going, why on earth is this guy cheering me on? If I win, I have to spar him, right? And then that was the first day I got introduced. I'm beating all the way down. I'm doing the fight-off to fight in the Final Four to see if you move up the first and second bracket or you fight down to third and fourth. And my first fight's Tony Young. And Tony Young looks like he's sleeping. They call him up to the ring. He walks the ring, and I'm on the other side, the young buck, going, man, I'm going to smoke this cat. Oh, man, look at him. He's half asleep. They said go. He hit me so fast, I have no idea to this day what Tony Young hit me with. And I got Jerry Prince on the side coaching me on. Afterwards, I'm asking these guys, hey, if I'm competing against you, why do you cheer for me? He goes, this is funny. I'll use Jerry Prince's accent, too. Well, that's just what we do. That's just what we do. This is what martial arts is about. We got brotherhood here. We support each other. And if your game gets better, guess what? My game's going to have to get better. So you need to be Michael Dietrich. You just need to be a better fighter. So you just raise up all of us. Wow.
Just so you know, what happens there is this, and that's exactly right. Jerry Prince comes from the Key Vitale / Joe Cordy / So these people got to feel in an interview already, and that's exactly right. That doesn't mean that when he got into the ring, he was going to try to kill you. You see, because that only means that they support you as a spectator, but when inside the ring, they're going to do what Tony Young did. By the way, Tony Young also came with that whole group. So Tony was training with all of them. You know, they were part of the same group because they all wanted to improve. See, we wasn't used to that because in certain areas, it was like this gang versus that gang, but they worked on improvement, which ended up happening years after with the Forms competitors. They started working together. You know, the ones that, you know better than me.
Yeah,
so,
Jerry, you were like that too. You're just so like welcoming. You say, hey, Mike, I'll be right there in your corner to cheer you on. You know, and those things help because if you were there in the early morning, you only thought I was a Forms competitor. If you were there in the evening, you knew I was a fighter. You know, if you were on the WACO circuit, then you knew I did weapons and sparred, and did kickboxing and all the other type of stuff. It just matters where you were at that time. Heck, I was a Muay Thai fighter. You know, in our Fairfax school, we were one of the first places to be a real MMA school. 1991, we opened up an MMA school in the Fairfax area. And, of course, everything says karate, right? But we had kickboxing, Thai boxing. And back in those days, I was doing Thai boxing. You know, while you had Rick Rufus out there winning stuff, back in that day. Let me see. Let's go back. So black belt, competition circuit, 18 years old. I finally get to step into the adult division. I had just beat a lot of people on the national circuit, like Peter Gilpin out of Canada. And that year, it was run by Professional Karate League. The entire circuit was all PKL, Professional Karate League. My rookie year out, I got the Rookie of the Year award and was inducted in the Professional Karate League Hall of Fame. Forms-wise, I was still trying to compete.
Incredible. Was this about 87?
1988. 1988, because I know I was trying to qualify for the Olympics because that's the year Arlene Lemus got into the U.S. Olympic team, and I was trying to qualify. I think it was about 3 fights away there. And she won. She was the first gold medal of the Olympics in Taekwondo, right? So,
all those people you're mentioning are lined up to do these power talks, and Arlene and I go back to 1981. That's when, which is.
Oh man, well, she's an incredible lady, right? She's just absolutely amazing. So, I was real proud of her too when she's standing on the podium, and the Korean team is ready to play the Korean national anthem, and she had beat the Korean lady and won for the U.S. the first gold medal in Taekwondo. And I believe she was on the podium just singing.
What happened was that the tape got stuck or something happened, and then she's just sang, and everybody followed her, which is pretty incredible. And the second person who actually won the official gold medal was Herb Perez, very good friend of mine. Both of them used to fight points one of the time of the year. I mean, he was the number 1 or number 2 girl.
That's right.
For many years.
Right.
It was interesting. 1988 was an interesting year. I was 22 years old, and that was the first time I really did a complete season. American Airlines was sponsoring, and it became now where when people were coming to New York, at least they had a place where they could either work out or even stay. And you exercise your right because of, I think when we were down in D.C., let's talk about that little event that we had when we went to Washington, D.C. with Mike Chatterbutter and
oh my gosh, yeah, we all got together. You know, Mike was staying at the house too. We all went to the pool with John Sharkey. Here's a little Mike Chat. What is he, like a purple belt, right? We're in black belt division, I guess, back then. You know, and he was John Sharkey. You know, took this kid in and coached him and made him just absolutely amazing. You know, and then
we went over to the pool in the military base.
Yeah, military base called Fort Myers, right? It's where all the officers. They have the officers club there. So my dad's being a colonel in the military and whatnot. We were able to get on base, and we took everybody on there. And man, here we are all around the nation, right? Getting together to just enjoy time, but all linked by this one code of martial arts. And Mike Chat, right? The Power Ranger, XMA founder. Look at this. This all comes from the same centralized group.
And same, yeah. Boyce Lydell, you and I.
Boyce Lydell. He came to school and was working out with the NBL, the guy who started the NBL. Oh, my. And, you know, I always looked up to you guys, too, because you guys were like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years older than I was. So I was always trying to catch up to you guys, you know, because you were able to compete at things like Bermuda when I was too young. You know, you had to be 18 or older to compete. And so, yeah,
and then
you just said 1988 was the last Bermuda, right?
Yeah, you came over to Empire State and ended up in the Bronx.
Right, I came out to visit you, and we trained at your school down there in the Bronx, you know, and you were just, I brought some people there to fight with me too, because I knew that you could make a difference in their fighting and their mentality, you know, and then you just coached them, got them back up on their feet and coached them. You know, so, and then this is the most pinnacle thing I would say about you, Fontanez, I got to tell you, is that you were the first person to ever sit me down, right, and make me watch what was it, DVD? What we have, VHS. And you had this new technology out of Japan. You had one of the first VCRs that could play slow-mo. And I know that sounds crazy to people now, right?
Real slow.
That sounds crazy to people now, but you were like one of the first people I've ever met to have the first VHS player that could do slow-mo. And you were showing me a fight between Billy Blanks and, was it Terry Hurd?
Billy Blanks and Nasty Anderson.
It was a Billy Blanks fight, right? But you played in slow motion and showed me how the points were scored and tell me why you have to watch it, know the rules, know the game, and be able to see it. But the guy hit so quick. That you could only see the techniques in slow motion. Yeah. I think it was Terry Hurd versus Billy Blanks, and it was at Bermuda. That was what the videotape was from. Unless it wasn't Terry Hurd, there was another guy with us back then. But I'm not, get kicked in the head for a living. Your memory gets shot a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure who Terry Hurd is. That's why I'm saying it probably wasn't him. If it's Bermuda, then it would have been any one of the top fighters. If it was a lightweight, it might have been someone like Randall DeLoach. If it was a heavyweight, it might have been...
Oh, it might have been DeLoach. It might have been DeLoach. Yeah.
It was Randall DeLoach for that Grand Slam because it was so fast.
That's right.
And that's what would happen. We were playing in full speed, slow motion, and then fast speed again, so you can see the technique because the judges couldn't see what was really happening. But I wanted to find out what really happened. So yeah, it was frame by frame.
Oh my god! And with ridge hands, man. Who scores points with ridge hands? We were taught, straight punch, side kick. He has a different angle. That's when the development of sliding back and leaning back and blitzing in, when all this stuff got developed, all the sport martial arts techniques of the future.
Well, that's definitely Randall DeLoach, because Randall DeLoach is the descendant of Bob Leica. Not Bob Leica, excuse me, Ben Kiker. So that means that it was Robert Richard Harris, Jesse Thornton, and Randall DeLoach, and we were all just in awe of that. Instead of throwing a straight technique.
Here's another thing I got to tell you, Fonda. Let me cut you off.
Linda Dandy too.
Okay, I got to say this too. You must be one of the smartest cats I know, seriously, because I can say something and you'll go back and say, no. Don't you remember this person was judging? This was what the score was. I mean, this is who was in the ring. Your memory for stuff and precision is absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. right?
And then wife.
So then the other thing I wanted to cover too, because you said something extremely important, okay? And this is a little on a download because I haven't publicly released it, so it's going to get released on Dojine. This is going to be the pinnacle moment, so I can tell you everything that's coming, okay? You said something, you had to watch it in slow motion because the judges weren't able to see the score being called. And that's the biggest challenge with martial arts competition is judging, right? Some things are too fast. Sometimes the judges just aren't that great. They can't see it from their angle. They're just not aware of it. So I got a cure for that. I fixed it. Master Deng Ju Lee came to my school and I said, listen, Master Lee, I want you to please support me because I'm going to be working with Team USA, the USA WMO, and would you please do seminars or events and come support our tournaments? And he looked at me square in the eye and said, no. And it broke my heart. Like my heart sank that moment. I said, no. Why not, sir? He goes, because I have 8 children, and one of them was competing in New York. I got in a car. I drove 5 or 6 hours to the tournament in New York. He got in his division. He sparred for 30 seconds. I videotaped the whole thing. He lost. Drive 5, 6 hours back home for one match for 30 seconds. Replayed the videotape and realized that he didn't lose, but the judging was so bad. So not only did I spend $100 and some dollars and the gas and the mileage for 30 seconds to be disappointed. So he goes, unless you can fix the judging, then I want nothing to do with it. So ever since that day, because, this is one of my pinnacle masters. So, well, yes, sir, I will do my best to go fix that. So I made some phone calls. And on those phone calls, because, I'm a little bit of a techie and a nerd, on those phone calls, I got a group of engineers together. And we developed something that's going to revolutionize the entire industry. It's called electronic gear. Not only is it electronic gear, but it's the software that does registration. It's a software that monitors the rings. It's a software that every parent can take their camera, film that division, and see the score of their kid on their own camera and film it and tweet it and share it. It's the software that when a boot kicks the other person in the head or the chest, scores on the monitor. Now, this isn't publicly released yet. It's our own Dietrich branded gear that comes out, and I'm actually officially announcing it on Thursday. So Dojine gets it first. Team USA gets it first. WMO gets it first. So this is going to be the way we revolutionize. Because Junri always said, make a difference, make a mark, take everything to the next level. This is our next level. And the reason it got here is you brought me on to the WMO and said, Michael, hey,
wait. Let's stop 1 second.
I got to finish this sentence.
Yes, sir.
You said this one thing that it's been like in the back of my head, like somebody just nudging you constantly, right? It's like I got to tell you what it is because it's driving me insane. Okay, and you even made a video of it, just unbelievable. So here now, as you're moving onward and upward, because the stuff you're working on right now, I got to tell you, is even more revolutionary than what I'm working on, okay? But you said, Michael, in 5 years, we need to have the World Championship at Madison Square Garden. In order to do that, we have to be able to have, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? And I was like, oh, my gosh, he's talking about really revolutionizing. I mean, we got to start from scratch and change the entire thing because if we just start another tournament circuit, well, what the heck? We're competing with everybody else. It's just going to be more of the same. He's talking about a revolution. So you even see my business logo, we changed it. You helped me with this logo, by the way. Is that turn the power on, and it says revolution, and then it says evolution. You, my friend, have inspired me to get a group of people involved to evolutionize the martial arts industry. And if people don't know, because you haven't released what you're working on yet, the stuff that you're working on is going to take us into the forefront, well beyond anybody's ever seen.
Something, I appreciate that, and this is the whole thing. Guys, most of you right now are going through challenges, and they may be financial challenges, they may be spousal challenges. There may be a combination of health challenges and what have you. And all those things are things that you must handle to the best of your ability. But one thing that's definitely is true. God doesn't give you something you can't handle. And when someone inspires you or motivates you or challenges you to take things to the next level, don't take that for granted. Throughout the years, I type with one finger with one hand. I am not what I would consider anything but a marketer. So I have to learn how to use the so-called, techie tools. And I know that's something that people don't understand when you see the Doe Giant site or whatever it is. 99% of the stuff I've done, I do it myself. But people don't know that. With Black Belts, we can do anything. So Mastery is exactly like Grandmastery and all the other instructors that really, really challenge us to go take things to a whole new stratosphere. It only makes sense that we, standing on the shoulders of giants, pay homage by taking it to another line, way beyond. When your instructor tells you something honestly, all he was a person who was insulted and hurt because his child got robbed. No, he wasn't hit over the head and almost died, but it will die or kill someone's spirit when they feel like they got beat up. In the meantime, they never got touched. So using a combination of educating people's eyes and using technology and whatever. This weekend, you're going to be where I would have been, and I think I told you just the honest truth. I thought the whole time, I was saying, listen, the plan hasn't changed, but we have to make some adjustments, and I'm doing that, and blah, blah, blah. And here it is, 2015, and something like rec suits, which you never even knew about until recent months, is coming back, and people go crazy over that.
Oh, man, I've been flying around the country for all these different tournaments and stuff like that in rec suits, man. People love their rec suits, dude. I got to tell you, you better be bringing them. Driving me crazy, called me about them. It's amazing how popular rec suits are. And I got to commend you for doing such an amazing job. But look, Jerry, just another kudos for you. I ran my one school. I've got 30 satellite locations. And I got to go back to history, man. I got to go back to history. So
yeah, no problem.
So I'm going to go back a step. So here I am, 18, PKL Hall of Fame, trying to beat Charlie Lee in forms, trying to beat Tony Young and Jerry Prince in sparring, and in weapons for that matter too. But then I'm working, way up, winning the U.S. Open, the Battle of Atlanta. Finally, the most prestigious tournament you can think. The one thing I wanted was a Diamond Nationals ring, right? And finally, 1990, 91, somewhere around 1990, I won the Diamond Nationals, pinnacle moment of my life in my martial arts competition career in the U.S. From that, Jim Lantrip called me and says, hey, I want you to compete for Team USA when it was WACO. And so now I'm on this U.S. team with Kevin Thompson, Garrett Warren, my little brother Richard, Jeff Smith is the coach, and we go to WACO with a whole team. Hakeem the Machine was there, Anthony Holloway. I mean, shoot, there's a whole list of like 40 different competitors back in the day that are on Team USA. So we go and we battle in Italy for that world championship, and now I'm part of the U.S. team traveling around. After that championship, I come back, and we get hired by the head of WACO, which is Ennio Falsoni, to go on a European tour. So it's me, Kevin Thompson, my little brother Richard Dietrich, and myself, right? And then we're there with the head Wing Chun person in the world, Evan Bostepe. We're there with the number one samurai, the number one judo, Olympic gold medalist in judo. So we're there with the pinnacle top people in all the different arts, going on tour, learning from each other. So after I came back from that, I had pretty much retired, and really started focus on teaching because they had opened, I had graduated high school. I went to an all-boys college prep school that I was cleaning the houses with my mom to be able to afford to go to. Had an acceptance to Princeton. Junri actually took me up to Princeton, and we did a demonstration, a seminar, and and then was supposed to go there. And then I opened a karate school straight out of high school, 18 years old, right? Opened up the doors. Goal was that within the 3 years, my family was going to run a martial arts school, and I was going to actually be able to go to school. So what happened from there is, 2 years later, we had 2 schools and 22 little miniature franchises in different satellite locations going on within a two-year time period. So I wasn't going to I didn't want to be one of those guys on Wall Street. I had found what I wanted to do, right? And so at 29 years old, I'm at U.S. Open with Arnold Chan, John Valera, and a group of those guys. And then they convinced me to just borrow somebody's uniform and go compete. And I placed in the top 4 in forms and fighting. And then I got a call again from, was it Jim Lantrip again? Excuse my memory. But for the WKA team. And so I was on Team USA for WKA.
That would have been Jim Lantrip, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Matthew Mullins, got the gold. I placed 4th, I think, in weapons and forms, for 3rd or 4th, somewhere around there. It was 1999. If you see that zombie picture with me in the commas, that would have been that picture from then that I just posted today. But so it was Matthew Mullins was there and a whole group, and Richard Plowden. Richard Plowden, I believe, was my corner referee when I was fighting the German guy who can smoking. But, man, you could just hear Richard in the back of my ear saying, kick, and giving me cues. And as soon as I did, bam, my foot was connecting or my hand was connecting, and I was just moving up the rounds. And it really shows how important having a good coach is in your corner, right? And Richard was just awesome as a coach. But so then at 29, I go out to compete again. I'm at Diamonds. I'm fighting a 19-year-old. I'm fighting for 1st and 2nd. I go in to do one of these flying blitz techniques. My hand's about an inch away from the kid's head, and his sidekick cracks 2 of my ribs, right? And I realize, you know what, Michael? You won these things. You've been there, done that. You need to take a break for your ribs, but you also need to figure out your next goal. You've proven this route. It's time to go do something else, right? So now I'm back at my school focusing wholeheartedly. And one of my students, one of my very first students, was a lady who had been gang raped. And because of her religious beliefs, she had a very difficult time with guilt. Even though she was raped, she felt that she had sinned against God. And so she could never redeem herself, right? So I taught her all the techniques. She could break boards. She could do everything. But psychologically and emotionally, she just couldn't stand up for herself. Then I understood there was a whole entirely different component to it. So then I started taking on different students. I took on students who were blind. I took on students who were deaf. I took on students who had muscular dystrophy. I took on students who had spectrum disorders because I needed to have that same championship feeling, but not by winning because of my kick or punch, winning because I found another path to help somebody, right? So as for the blind person, I had this 42-year-old man who got glaucoma. And he lost his vision, and he called to sign up his daughter for martial arts classes. And funny call. He goes, hey, I want to get my kids signed up for classes. Like, yeah, no problem. Come on in tomorrow at 7. I'll get you signed up. He goes, well, I've always wanted to do it too. I go, yeah, well, you're more than welcome. Just come on in, 7 o'clock. He goes, no, I'm visually impaired. I was like, yeah, I got it. No problem, sir. Just come on in. He goes, no. Let me rephrase that. I'm blind. I can't see anything. I go, yeah. Not a big problem. Us martial artists like to close our eyes and practice and work on our other senses. I'm pretty sure you're ahead of the game on that, so just come on in. We'll take care of it, right? So 4 years later, he tested for his black belt. Most wicked thing, dude. He had facial sensitivity. He could walk right up to you. He could sense where you are. If you did a kick on him, he could feel what leg it was. So logically, here's where all the natural openings were, right? So he could spar. He could break boards. He was phenomenal. He was in the Channel 4 News, George Michael Sport Report 4 times. And to say something that's made me proud is in the local high schools now, he's a keynote speaker. He's a motivational speaker for the local high schools in my area.
Okay, wait. Let me stop you. Okay, so now, when most people take their martial arts career and stop it at whether it was regional ratings or even national ratings, and after that they start looking more like sumo wrestlers and some of us, I should say, some of us, yeah, I've done it. But So what you started doing was looking for other challenges that were even more beneficial or just feel so greater than even working at the Diamonds by living vicariously, by helping other people in life, period. And you started just taking these challenges. Yeah, like, same thing here, the kid has Down syndrome. Go, cool. I don't have a Down syndrome black boy. Every time someone had someone who were challenged, and I wanted that also because we knew that if it helped my crazy butt, it could help anybody. And that's the stuff that really, really makes the difference. Not the kick, not the punch, but being able to, against all odds, by any means necessary, take things to the next level, not with your limitations, but with your motivation and inspiration. They're able to tap into their true power and strength. And that's phenomenal.
That's huge, right? Because we have so many people around the circuit, or not circuit, but in the martial arts world, I should say, who say, well, that's not a legitimate black belt, or that's not this. You have no idea what the struggles are. That somebody, I have a young lady now that I'm teaching who's deformed, right? And she's maybe, 3.5 feet tall, and she's very small. She has a lot of challenges, but she goes out there and she does her best. She does it to the best of her ability, and that's the accountability, right? How far can you drive yourself to do your best to take it to that level? Then I have, so just, again, going back a step. So I took on these challenges of teaching these people. And, I'd done a class with George Dillman, and he let me know that, man, the human body can definitely be a weapon, right? Amazing. He's just amazing. Pressure point techniques, the things that he's able to accomplish. And I didn't just want to be a weapon anymore. I didn't want to walk up to somebody and go, okay, I got this guy like the Terminator laid out, and I've already taken out everybody in this room, so I know I'm pretty safe sitting here at this restaurant because I've got it covered. I needed another feeling. I needed a feeling that I could not only destroy, but create. And then who would need it the most? Who would be made fun of? Who would get picked on? And so I started taking in these different people and going, well, you're more than welcome. I'm going to do my best as a teacher. And I think Junri taught me this once. He goes, maybe in regular school the teacher can say, yeah, the student's just not getting it, let me move him to another class. He goes, but what I expect for you is that the student never failed. You failed the student. So you find a way for that student to learn, even if you've got to invent it. Find a way.
They talk about that it's not learning disabled, it's teachers disabled.
Right. And so now I've been all the way to a point where we restructure learning. They're called Jedi classes, just exceptionally developing individuals that focus on teaching not just the child but the parent on advanced auditory, visual, and sensory integration processing classes. We have classes that we actually do for American Online, AOL, where we even go into classrooms where we teach infants, little babies, on advanced concepts for that child to take in information on what they see, on what they hear, on what they feel toward grasping information to increase that child's ability to develop, right? So we've started a whole slew of classes, and this is where I was when you found me, okay? This is where I was, because we have all these different locations teaching various types of classes that are martial arts philosophy-based but aren't martial arts kick and punch-based, from yogis to yogo kids to get them to the goal sports to, our ninjas and dragon classes, all the way down to the way I teach martial arts now, where I tell the parent that your child cannot just sign up as an individual at the school. You as a parent have to take a class or be involved in the class till you both earn your white belt, because we realize that change has to occur with not just the child but with the entire family. So now our entire teaching concept is completely done to a point where I don't, in my dojo, in my particular Dietrich form of martial arts, we don't teach them a punch or a kick for 24 months. They have to earn that right. Now, there are ways that people can accelerate into programs that they do it sooner. But they learn self-defense. They learn how to put their hands up. They learn how to block. They learn fitness. They learn character. They learn anger management. It's kind of like the old samurai saying, here, I will give you this bow long before I will give you the arrow. And so that's how we change our martial arts teaching concept. And for us, that's working. Because, again, we run the main facility. and then we have about 30 other locations that teach one of our systems. And then you had posted something, and I had called you, and you're the one who really brought me back to martial arts. Because I was in my own concept of the world making a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you brought me back to the memories and said, hey, Michael, you need to come back to this because this is where we started. This is where you got inspired. Here's what makes a difference. You know, help me work on a state or help me work on a region. Well, just come on board, Michael. You know what you're doing. Let's do this. And by the time you got me into position to start running this stuff, you know, you were saying, okay, Michael, do this because I'm going to be working on Dojine. I'm going to be working on the website integration. I'm going to be working on, and at first I'm looking at it going, what are you talking about, right? Oh, my gosh. What you're talking about, Jerry, is just phenomenal, but I don't think anybody else has the guts to do it. And so now, between all the forces, between RecSuits, the Dietrich electronic scoring system, the Team USA, WMO, with everything that's going on, with the consulting of Dojine and the consultation of it all, I really think that we are now on a new wave of a revolution. So if people don't know the martial arts history, don't know the stuff, you're doing it. You're bringing them.
Yeah, the idea is this, guys, there's nothing that's bigger than life. Nothing's bigger than life. And we have to take this life and appreciate it. We learn from our students anyhow. Be honest with people. Be honest with people and let them know that you yourself have still not even tapped into your full potential. Just because someone hasn't done it doesn't mean that you have not been given the God-given skills to do it. And it's part of a attitude. We have the attitude, the basics, see, control, the discipline, and all the other attributes of how to be a black belt in life. Because
you said it, black belt in life, the way of the warrior, because you know what? You also brought up another thing, too. A lot of us have had it all, okay? So I'll tell you a pinnacle sales moment that we are starting to consult people on now, okay? We had worked out partnerships with the local counties, established a whole bunch of different realms of classes. To one point, we had 100 intros in a month, right? So those intros came in end of September, early October. We did 100 intros. Now, this was before the economy crash, okay? 100 intros. That Christmas, we had a holiday sale within I would say within a 4-hour time period. You know what? I'll just include the whole weekend. Within the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that we had our holiday sale, we did $80,000. $80,000. And I know people tell me, well, that's just crazy. How is that possible? Because we had preschooler classes. We sold packages for uniforms, gears, personal training classes. We sold kicknastics is what it was called back then. We sold so many different levels of martial arts training down to the kickboxing, fitness classes, string training classes. They'd come in for these motivational yoga type of classes, which were more visualization, and martial arts self-mastery classes, $80,000 in 3 days. 100 intros that came in in October.
Yeah, but that's like having 10 businesses in one, and that means that you got ADHD and a whole bunch of letters more than A through Z that are doubled and tripled, like me.
Right, yeah, no, if you're a karate world and you got it down, we're all a little ADD, ADHD, because, you know, you have to be in order to walk into a room, be aware of all the exits, who's next to you, who's there, can you use that table to guard yourself. And the great thing about a martial artist is not, you know, here's a fault. Back in our era, the person used to teach you to only focus on one thing at a time. Are they crazy? Focus on one thing at a time, you'd be dead, right? Any mom in the world tells you have to be able to multitask. And any great martial arts master on the planet should be able to walk in a room, be aware of almost everything in the room, and in one breath of air, prioritize those. Now, that's self-mastery. So ADD, ADHD, I don't care how they look at it, it should not be seen as a deficit, but just an opportunity to take your self-mastery to an entirely
hold on a second.
different level.
When I say, because I was never diagnosed, my son used to call it just hyperactive. When I say that, I'm bragging because that means that's the Einsteins and every other person who's ever created anything. Tesla, trust me, all these people were able to see things at a whole new level. They used the right side and left side of the brain. And
right.
that's the totality of what we've been able to do with the duality when it comes to yin and yang. And martial art is, by definition, martial is military. Military is linear, straight line strategy. Art is all over the place. So that's an oxymoron when you say martial artist is oil and water. And that's what we are. We are versatile to do whatever it takes to make sure we take our life to the next level, committed to success, flexible in approach.
So for all of us, bringing that career up to that level and then having the economy crash, whether you were involved in real estate or stocks, most of us lost a lot. And then when you lose all that, you realize that, hey, I'm not standing here because I made money. I'm standing here because I had a belief, and I still to this day have the belief about making a difference. The rest of it will just come. And as we move forward, we realize that some of the tools of the past, some of the things that we pinnacly did back in the day need to change because those times are come and gone. It's time to take it to the next level if martial arts business is going to survive. In the next year, 1/8 of martial arts schools nationwide will close. And it's just evolution, right? Will they advance? Will they learn the new teaching techniques? Will they listen to these seminars here on Dojine? Will they find these pinnacle moments and figure out how to re-strategize, re-evolutionize, remaster what needs to get done and take to the next level? And that's what's going to happen. My techniques of marketing back when you did back in the day, sticking out little bandit signs and whatnot, that's not going to cut it in this day and age. I bought a software company.
We got an app for that. We have an app for that.
We do, and you're in front of it. So I can't wait for you to introduce these guys to UBiz or introduce this guy. We introduced a new thing called Signpost that we're doing. That's part of what we are now. Because I bought a software company a while back, and so now instead of sticking a bandit sign in the road, it's a completely different type of schedule on how to get it done. And I'm pretty sure that most people listening to this can just talk to Jerry Fontanez and find out how they can turn their site into a smart site. Between the both of us, figure out how they can get apps done, or give me a call on how to get, a signpost, marketing, loyalty program, all that other type of stuff done. But together, man,
Michael
we're strong.
Dietrich, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Will it be possible? Now, this is going to be a loaded question, guys. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why Master Michael Dietrich and I have connected is because it's time. It's time. Now, we promise to be 100% honest because you got to have a work ethic that is a half a day of work. It's not 4 hours. It's 12 hours. And we never work 12 hours. That means we're being lazy. Isn't that true, sir?
That is absolutely true. Look, today I have a cold. I'm on this thing with the phone. You said we got to get to Madison Square Garden. Well, guess what? I was on. This is the fifth time I've been on ABC News because we have to. You said it. It's time. We need a bigger voice. It's time to get that bigger voice. We need to make a difference. It's time to make a difference. We're at the pinnacle age, time to make change. To make change and take martial arts to the entire level, not just martial arts, but the entire belief structure. While the world is all there fighting over ISIS and everything else, I really, truly believe that it's going to be the martial artists worldwide that unite together to make a difference and bring everybody home. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much for making that phone call and bringing me out of the woodworks. The world wouldn't have seen me because I was in hiding. I was fine. But you brought me out and said, okay, it's time. And it's like, it is time.
Yeah, because and this is what it comes down to, guys. There's a lot of people right now that literally have not had the opportunity to tap into some of their potential and produce some results like Mr. Dietrich and myself and other people have done. But that does not take away that they're pioneers and legends. So my intention is to, and this is what it comes down to, when I do the Dojine Power Talks is because if I went to war and I can only have 300 people, like the movie 300, on my army, Mr. Michael Dietrich, you are on my army to go against the world to make it a better place.
Awesome. We are
That's
Sparta.
what this is all about. Yeah, this is no question about it. This is exactly what this is about. because otherwise no one's going to do it. No one's going to do it.
No, you're exactly right.
We have the ability. That means that we have the responsibility because we could do it. When you have the ability, that means you have a responsibility to exercise that. And I believe that when people take, and I've done it by pointing the fingers, God gave me these skills, this ability. That is
right.
the responsibility to exercise it. And the world doesn't benefit because of it.
No, you're exactly
you
right.
It's about us.
We were given the ability to grow, right? We were given something. And in order to pay that back, we've got to give back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm glad we're on the same page, brother. Same page.
There's no doubt about it. This is about life. It has nothing to do, and everything that breaks down life. Listen, for what is all said and done, the best is yet to come. And I
darn straight.
1,000% know that. And I know that those of you who are listening, realistically, we went on to a whole new stratosphere. You know, people cannot fathom things that you and I had done and other people have done. But the fact of the matter is that I don't feel I've done anything yet. Because I was young. I wasn't sure what I was doing.
Right. That's just a warm up. We're getting ready. We're still getting ready. That was just a warm up because we're getting ready for the big fight now.
You know what's so funny? People say, okay, I had the 6,500 square foot home in New Jersey, and you had one even bigger in Virginia, right?
We're in 10,000 square feet on 6 acres. I had the whole Viking kitchen set up. I had one of those refrigerators that you could stick your arms out and it still wouldn't cover how wide the refrigerator was. This is the cool thing, though. You walk in, it'd be like that guy in Scarface. I had this tub with the Xbox hooked up, the screen lay in front of me. I could just sit in that tub and chill.
Toys.
So it was back in the day, but the economy hit us, and we had to re-strategize.
What were you driving? Whatever you wanted, right?
Man, I had a Mercedes, a Hummer, a BMW. I had a Ferrari there for a Lamborghini there. It was a little Gallardo there for a little while. So it was nice times, man, nice times. And, it's coming back. It's not like... I'll tell you, what we're doing now, we're in about 8,000 plus square feet now and about 30 acres. So I still have to have the Hummer because it's out here, Middleburg area of Virginia. So, but it takes work, and it's not like if you falter once and you fall down, you can't pick yourself back up. You just pick yourself back up with some wisdom and get to it.
And I'm excited because the fact of the matter is, at age soon to be 50, you're young. I think I know how to really do it. I can avoid anything that Rec Suits / Recognized Sports did wrong and tap into all the things that I was going to do with it. And I'm in Florida right now. Yes, guys, that's where I'm at. I'm in Florida with my son, who's an executive.
And hopefully you're able to. My niece is a little bit away from you, so I'm going to be, it'll be
easier when I'm driving. When I'm driving, it'll be a little easier because if I go to Tampa, then we'll be able to make that move. So
I'll send them out to you, man. But that's all. Just for them to be able to have the opportunity to train in your presence, I would be honored.
Hey, but when it's all said and done, realistically, that's the reason why God is putting us in this position to help other people. Now, those of you who are listening, hopefully you've been inspired. We're not bragging at all. Please understand that. We are just literally letting you know the potential that you have. Now, potential means you haven't done anything yet. I feel like I have potential. I haven't done anything yet. There's a lot of space for improvement, and when it's all said and done, the best is yet to come because we are going to do whatever we can do, and that's normally more than enough. Do you agree?
Exactly. Everything else is just prep for this.
Hey, sir, we have a lot of work to do. When you come back, we're going to start tapping into putting these programs together from A through Z. So those of you who are interested in some of the things that you just mentioned there, don't worry about it. We are packaging it It'll be completely professional in the convenience of your own hand. In-hand marketing will help you have any and all the products and services that we're going to render and support right in the palm of your hand. There'll be an app for that. And all those tools that they use to communicate and market, we're going to do that also. But when it's all said and done, belly to belly is where it ends up being to heart. When you're giving that person the hug, all the technical things in the marketing and promotion is really just to get and connect with the heart, guys. That's what it's about, just to get belly to belly. And those things will change, whether it's a flyer one day, a text next day, an app or a hologram. It doesn't matter. It's being able to connect with people where they live, and they live in their heart. Honesty is the only way to make this happen, guys. We make mistakes, but we are not mistakes. And God knows I've made more mistakes than the average bear. Thank God that gave me that experience.
So did Babe Ruth. So did
That's the
Einstein.
Point.
So did.
We're in good company. Good company. Hey, listen, I'm gonna be respectful of your time because obviously at some point you might have to try to sleep a little bit, and I'm sure you probably.
Yeah, I gotta get ready to get packed to get to England.
Yeah. Well, the point is this. I appreciate you. I'm extremely excited. And for whatever it's worth, I also reached out to Alfie, so he knows what the deal is. He knows you are the man to do what is necessary, and I told him that nothing's changed except for some better things.
Better things. It's coming. It's coming.
Oh my God!
Oh,
and it's phenomenal. But
I'm glad to call you brother, man. I'm glad to call you brother. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for bringing me back out of the woodworks and back on a mission.
Hey, you are welcome. And those of you who are listening to this, whether it's 2, 3 years, 5, 10 years, 100 years from now, please understand that we did this only because we could, and so can you. It's about us. That's U.S., all of us. So, everyone, any parting words for anybody right now, or?
Oh man, just when there's a warrior, there's a way. Let's just get it done.
I like that. And the famous words of some pretty Puerto Rican from the Bronx. Master Dietrich, when I say